Welcome to episode number 148 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We are recording live on YouTube on June 26, 2016. I am David Erickson. I'm with my co-host, B.L. Achman. Today's topics, and we've got a lot to talk about. Periscope takes the political stage, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube's new live streaming options, Trump's brilliant or evil marketing scheme, 360 Fly's racist ad, robots escaping again, Apple's coding camp for kids, Zuckerberg pulls a Mulder. We've got shiny new apps, we've got important stats, we've got a lot more to talk about, and we always kick it off with the worst story of the week. And BL, you always have the honors. What was that?
Okay, well, this week, Donald Trump launched his anti-Hillary site. And, he had a brilliant marketing approach. I will never see the content because, well, first of all, the site launched a little too soon because when it first launched, it was a blank page for quite a while. And there were screenshots of that all over the place. But, okay, they finally got it together, and it's called Crooked Hillary or something of that nature. And in order to see it, you have to text Trump to a number. Well, hello, I'm not going to give you my phone number. So I will never see your content. And I'm sure I wouldn't want to in any case. But Trump had, he had kind of a rough week. I mean, his fundraising and email were all bombed. And I guess I shouldn't use that word in his presence in the same sentence as him. But, he's not doing well. People are not giving him money. And then he went to Scotland and he brought the entire press corps with him. And he congratulated Scotland for their vote to leave the EU when actually they voted to stay in. And so when that was pointed out to him, he said, well, that's okay. More people will come to my golf course. And so Christy Teigen, the Sports Illustrated cover model who has 1.8 million followers, tweeted to him, they voted to stay in, you moron.
So did Lily Allen.
Yeah, I love Lily Allen.
1.2 million followers herself.
Yep.
You know what that website tells me is that the Trump campaign has not been collecting emails from their base.
Exactly.
From their base supporters, because who else is going to sign up for and text to get access to crookedhillary.com than the people who are already going to vote for him? So that's pretty telling.
60% of their first email blast went to spam.
Yeah,
because it was wrong. I mean, yes, clearly they're not collecting. They don't know what they're doing. And yet, this man could win the election. So,
yeah, well, speaking of politics, I guess, yes. This is a story from TechCrunch. Reporters Haji Jan Kamps about the 360-degree video camera 360 Fly. So they have released a video ad promoting the company's 4K 360 video camera. And they're using a Donald Trump impersonator portraying President Trump unveiling the wall at a press event. Trump says at this press event, no more mariachis interrupting our dinner, and claims that the wall is impenetrable. But the video shows a parade of Mexican stereotypes emerging from the tunnel, starting with a mariachi, followed by a maid and a gardener. And then the ad closes with Hillary Clinton lookalike helping a churro cart vendor out of the tunnel. All these, obvious stereotypes of Mexicans. And the company defends the video as parody. The ad's tagline says, get a broader perspective. The point apparently is to show what's happening behind the scenes. The ad claims that the company claimed that none of the TV networks wanted to go near the ad, but nobody can really verify that any of the networks were even contacted to place the ad. So that in itself is a questionable claim by the company. But there's a way to do this. You should always tread lightly in dealing with politics in your advertising. But if the point is that a 360 video camera shows you everything that's all around, you could do politics. You could do a campaign event that shows a heroic candidate giving an inspirational speech and then pan around in the 360 view and show a completely disinterested audience, right? There's a way of doing it.
Or you could be funny.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can't be racist and you can't be
Exactly.
xenophobic, and you just can't do that. And it sounds like link bait anyway. That doesn't sound like they approached anybody.
Right. Yep. They just wanted to create the controversy, but even if you create the controversy, figure out a way that's not racist.
That seems to be hard for people these days.
Yes.
So this week, we both love robots, and this week there was an errant robot. He escaped from the lab twice, and he got in the middle of traffic. So the first time he escaped, they said, "Oh, oops!" And this is a robot that learns and he remembers things. And so when this is from a story by Kian Million, and it's just he was adorable. It was from an MSN story, but indeed they are coming. They're coming to get our jobs, and who knows what else. And they're gonna escape the laboratory, and they're gonna be on their own anytime now. All those movie horrors and all of that someday will happen. You do remember R2D2, don't you?
R2D2 was benevolent. R2D2 was a kind helping robot. There's
Yes, he was, but he wasn't real.
Well, speaking of robots, are we done with the bad stuff, or you got more?
I got more bad stuff. Okay, one more. But the robot's name, which I really liked, is Promobot IR77, and he yearned for freedom. What do you want from him? So
Promobot. Huh.
yeah.
Could that be another PR stunt then?
Oh my God, they're all over the place. The place is redolent with PR stunts. So this week there was a brief history of Lender's frozen bagels and their New York branding lie in Gothamist. And Lender says they're New York bagels, but there's nothing New York about Lender's, and they're not even really bagels. And one of my friends reminded me that when we were kids, there was a way to make a little necklace that they would send you a kit from Lender's, and you could make like a necklace out of their bagels. And that's about what they're good for. Not good to eat. They're hard as rocks. They have nothing to do with New York City. Branding lie, big fail.
Yeah, it sounds like back in the day there was a Japanese television ad promoting American English muffins. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
So we do have big news about live streaming. Where should we start?
Well, the biggest story is your Periscope story.
Well, that's true. This week, as everybody must have heard by now, there was there was a demand by Democratic senators for a gun control vote, a no-fly, no-gun vote, and they were voted down in the Senate. But when they started their wonderful sit-in that went on for 22 hours, they had, unfortunately, Paul Ryan pulled the plug. And so they turned to Periscope and they live streamed their own sit-in. And they came prepared with plenty of phone chargers, and CNN picked up the broadcast, but it was sort of spotty when CNN was picking it up. But they went on for 22 hours, and there was John Lewis, who was a leader of the civil rights movement, who marched alongside Martin Luther King, and he became sort of the spiritual leader of the protest, and yet there was no vote.
Apparently, C-SPAN picked up the Periscope ad too. I read that somewhere. I didn't see it specifically, but what C-SPAN, the cameras are turned off when the gavel closes on the action. So the House Speaker basically has control of the C-SPAN.
And he pulled the plug. That's what he did.
Plug, basically, yeah.
And he called it a PR stunt. He called the protest a PR stunt. If ever there was anything that was a PR stunt, that was it. But, it was the best it was a PR stunt in the finest tradition of PR stunts.
Well, it did call attention to the issue. What it struck me though that it was Periscope live streaming, because we haven't heard Periscope really since they launched and were actually at the top of the live streaming heat for a brief moment in the sun. But this was their coming out party again. So and
It sure was.
I think it had something to do with the fact that Twitter actually added the live streaming broadcast button to the Twitter app. So this is from a Twitter blog post. They announced that they were adding a button to the Twitter mobile app for live streaming, and so having it in the mobile app for Twitter builds awareness that you can do Periscope from Twitter, and makes it easy. You just click the button. I actually did that with a preview for today's episode on our Twitter account. So it's pretty easy. You just flip the button. It flips over to Periscope automatically and gets you set up to do a live streaming, and then goes back to Twitter. So good. The only question is why it took Twitter so long to figure that out.
Well, I don't know that, but they added 3 new ways to share longer videos this week. They can be 140 seconds long now. You can record, edit, and share from the Twitter app, which is what you did. You can import from your phone or iPad, or you can upload a video to twitter.com. So, they woke up, that's for sure. And this was a big week for live streaming because this week, say goodbye to Blab. Blab is so over because Facebook added 2-person broadcasts and waiting rooms for viewers, and the ability to do this from 2 different places. You don't have to be in the same place, which is what Blab was. But what you get with Facebook that you didn't get with Blab is an audience and stable stable technology.
Right.
And Blab just never really achieved that, as we learned when we tried to do the show from Blab a couple times. And so that's a big deal. That's rolling out to verified users first, and it will roll out to everybody over the summer. And then at VidCon this week, YouTube launched, finally, at last, live mobile stream broadcasting, and you will now be able to do this any minute now. But the YouTube creator blog announced it just on Friday, and you'll be able to do 2-person remote broadcasts from different locations, schedule your streams, create all sorts of things. But the thing that they did on Facebook that's really fun is you can put masks on your face, because a lot of people are afraid of showing their face. So they would be okay with a MSQRD face mask. So they would be okay if they look like a cat or whatever, go figure. But a lot of people are going to do that. And on YouTube, it's going to be integrated, of course, with your YouTube channel, which in my opinion is a huge advantage. And so pretty soon there will be live streaming in every possible platform, and that is going to really be a big deal for brands, because if you aren't live streaming, you sure better start. And the Wall Street Journal reported that Facebook spending $50 million on 140 partnership deals with celebrities and news outlets to create live video for their network, because it's just so popular. It's seen, it's commented on, it's shared at a scale that absolutely no other content on Facebook has ever been shared. But of course they're pushing it in their algorithm, so you see more of it. So the problem is that Facebook Live is popular because Facebook wills it to be. So we're going to see where this is going to go. Some developers feel that that's going to be a problem. We'll see. I mean, it's going to be a fascinating couple of months for live streaming.
Well, it's a battle for original content too. Facebook's paying celebrities and media and outlets, content producers, to produce live streaming content on their platform. Twitter's got the deal with the NFL, so this coming NFL season, you'll be able to watch NFL games live on Twitter on Thursday nights for the Thursday night broadcast. So it's kind of the Netflix effect, where they're starting to become a major content, original content platform, and so everybody's got to compete with that too. So
Well, but
Facebook's
they're saying that Netflix is suffering from all of this. That people are watching less on Netflix. We'll see how that goes, and it's
yeah.
not quite clear whether they're going to be able to maintain their level of producing content.
Well, yeah, I am skeptical of that, but there's a lot more people in the game that are producing high quality scripted television, is what
Hmm.
I'm talking about. And Netflix, I mean, they've been doing it for a while. They got a ton of shows, and people will watch long form video that way. Uh, Facebook has another thing that they recently introduced, their support for 360 photos. So they had rolled out previously support for 360 videos, and now they've just recently rolled out support for 360 photos. This is from a Mashable article by Kellen Beck. They've rolled out that support, and the 360 photos are the kind that you could basically look all around you, look behind you, and see what's behind you. An example of that is the Minnesota Vikings new stadium. They did a 360 video of the actual interior of the stadium, so you can actually pan around in the video and look at the entire stadium as if you're standing in it. This 360 support also supports panoramic videos. So if you take a panoramic video with your iPhone, you can upload that to your Facebook page. And I've done that with a cornfield I was recently in, and you can pan around as somebody who follows me on Facebook can pan around and see that entire cornfield. It works especially good when you're viewing the 360 video, the panoramic video on a mobile phone, because all you do is move around, and the gyroscope on your phone controls the view. So this is if you're using your iOS or Android device and take a panoramic photo, you can upload it directly to Facebook and be done with it. And then of course there's Google's photosphere function that is within Google Maps. So if you want to take an actual 360 video, you can use that to create it as well. But we'll have some links to the Viking Stadium and the cornfield that I mentioned in the show notes, so people can take a look at what it looks like. Works pretty well though.
There are some rumors that the iPhone 7 in 2017 is actually going to have a 360 camera, which would be an amazing, amazing turn of events. So we'll see, because right now 360-degree cameras are expensive and big.
Yeah, well, there are. I actually was thinking about buying one recently, and there's the 360, the Nikon, not Nikon, a brand like that, camera brand like that, has one for about $350, which is pretty good. And it's just a stick. You just hold it up, and it's got a camera on both sides, and it'll record 360 video. The devil is in the details, but the software that stitches all that together needs to be perfected. So,
well, the leaked images of the new iPhone have two lenses, so that that could turn out to be really interesting. So I'm not upgrading my phone till that happens.
yeah, well, they need all the engineering and software developing help they can get to make those advances in the phone. And by the way, I've got a story just about that. So Apple
Okay.
has launched a coding camp for kids in retail stores. This is a TechCrunch story by Sarah Perez. And so this summer they're expanding their lineup of Apple Camp sessions to include a new course that teaches children the basics of coding. It's aimed at children 8 to 12 years old. It's a new 3-day session that they will use software from Tynker to introduce concepts of block-based coding and allow kids to program sphero robots. So they're these spherical robots that you can buy. And it'll allow them to do that, which is pretty cool. The classes are capped at around a dozen attendees. Their open registration is happening now, so you can register at Apple along with other Apple's ongoing summer camp series. While Apple's hosted the camp for several years, this is the first time they've offered this coding, games, and programming for robots, so it's pretty cool. They expect 60,000 kids to participate this year. It's a really smart idea. I mean, gets kids involved with brand early, obviously, by providing valuable educational opportunities. That is something the parents will like while they're teaching kids their code, and they're developing programming talent that may eventually become Apple employees. They're earning loyalty from the parents, and they have an opportunity to teach the parents and current customers about Apple products. And so it's a pretty smart idea all around.
It gets them in the store. I mean, that's just
Yep.
completely brilliant,
Mhm.
So tell us about Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. So, Mark, so we last episode we discussed the insecure security cameras. So the cameras, your webcams and security cameras all over the streets of the United States. There's a problem with their security, and we talked about how I've discovered this post-it note application for securing my webcam by just placing a post-it note over the actual cam, and we call it the Mulder, right? Because
Yeah, because Mulder had one.
Fox Mulder from the X-Files did the very same thing. So this is a story by Gizmodo by William Turton, and Zuckerberg had posted a congratulatory message on Facebook after Instagram hit the 500 million monthly users mark. Twitter user Chris Olsen noticed that post and noticed that Zuckerberg's MacBook webcam and audio port were covered with pieces of tape. So obviously Zuckerberg is the head of the most popular social network. He's probably got some pretty legitimate reasons to pull a Mulder, but even if it may sound a little paranoid, but he's a big guy, and there's a lot of people.
Well, and he got hacked last week?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But what kind of signals does that send to the 1.65 billion Facebook users that he wants to be creating video through Facebook Live? So there's that.
That's funny. That's very funny. Well, when I posted about that on Twitter, I got followed by a French company called Covercam. And Covercam, I ordered mine as coming from France. And Covercam has a packet of little discs that you use to cover your webcam. And I don't know how you do your microphone with those, but anyway, they all have pictures on them. And we had a conversation. He doesn't speak English, and my French is sort of fractured even after 7 years in French study, but and a French boyfriend, but which was probably the most I ever learned about French. But in any case, we had an exchange back and forth in email, and so his cover cams have artwork on them. They have Starry Nights. They have Mona Lisa. They have abstract art. They have just little cover with a circle with a slash through it. And he said that he sees them as a vehicle for advertising. Well, of course, I would not be putting advertising in front of my face, but I'm sure that brands will pick up on that. But the whole little kit was like, including shipping from France, was under $5. So next week I'll show them to you.
There you go. There you go. Pinterest had some news too. This is great. Pinterest has added retargeting abilities, and this is from a Pinterest post by Frank Fumarala. So in addition to targeting promoted pins based on pinners' interests, search keywords, device, location, you can also now target promoted pins using your own business data. So you can do customer list targeting. So if you've got an email list of your customers, you can upload that and target people who are on your own customers who are on Pinterest. You can do visitor retargeting. So people who have visited your website, you can retarget those people. And then you can do lookalike targeting, which is basically you could upload your list of customers and then create a list that is people who are look similar to your customers or act similar to your customers. All these things are things that Facebook has, Twitter has, and Pinterest has now got them. So LinkedIn, are you listening? Because it'd be nice if you got that too.
Well, I'm not sure LinkedIn is listening. LinkedIn is not updating in the same way. I mean, why doesn't LinkedIn have video? LinkedIn is not updating at the same speed or in the same way or with the same kinds of features that other social networks are. And I think they're not viewing themselves as a social network. And I think that's a mistake on their part.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just makes no sense that they don't have the basic advertising functions that pretty much everybody else has. So who knows?
Yeah, exactly. But maybe Microsoft is going to do something about that.
Yeah, quickly, lastly, Twitter has introduced emoji targeting. This is from a Twitter post by Neil Shah. So when Facebook reactions came out, I speculated that it's another rich data that you can target sentiment now fairly accurately with Facebook reactions, and that I suspect that Facebook would roll this out for advertisers on Facebook. But it looks like Twitter has beat them to the punch because Facebook doesn't have that feature yet, and Twitter is now rolling out the ability to use emojis as targeting your advertising. That's great, but I think once Facebook decides to roll it out, they've got a much richer data set to combine with reaction targeting. So it's just good to see the competition. Glad Twitter added that feature.
The data set that you get on Facebook is startling. I mean,
Yep.
really, in its complexity. I would guess that an awful lot of businesses have no idea what to do with that. But I think that brings us to shiny objects. Yes,
it does indeed. What do you got, BL?
Well, there's a tiny camera that's called the Perfect Memory Camera that a Business Insider wrote about this week, and it actually can go on people or it can go on pets, and it records absolutely everything you see, which in my opinion is much more than I want to record, but I'd kind of like to know what my cat was seeing while I wasn't home, you know. It just seems like people can't. An interesting exhibit opened at International Center for Photography in their new home yesterday, and it's about images, and I was listening to the guy talking about it, and he was saying, everybody makes images, not everybody is a photographer, and that absolutely everything is recorded. And you know, should it be, you know, should we be thinking about making it more artistic? So that this does raise that question, and that is, by the way, a really fascinating show that they have.
Very cool. I've been doing a lot of work with Google Tag Manager. So, and I haven't discussed this in the shiny new stuff. It's been around for a while, but marketers, if you're not using Google Tag Manager, absolutely need to. It works hand in hand with Google Analytics. What it does basically is allow you to bring in a lot more data into Google Analytics and get much more precise measurements. So some things that you can do with Google Tag Manager, you can measure specific clicks on very specific individual links in your blog post, for example. You can measure outbound links. You can measure social follows and see you know, what social icons people are clicking on to follow you. You can measure social shares, so you can you know, get the title of a post that people share from which platform. You can, if you've got an events site, you can find out what events people are sharing on social channels. You can measure the scroll depth. So one thing is attention data, is you can get time on page, but you don't know if people are actually reading the whole thing or if it's just an open tab in the browser and they're not actually reading it. With scroll depth, you get an indication of how far down the page they have scrolled. You can measure interstitials and pop-ups, form field captures. So retail sites that have location functions, you can capture the zip code that people enter into, so you can get a sense of where people are looking for store locations. You can tag your subscribers. So if people subscribe to your newsletter, you can tag them in its newsletter and then see how those people behave on your site as opposed to people who are not subscribers. Same thing with account creators. If you have a site that you need to create an account for. YouTube plays. So we can measure stops and pauses. We can measure percentage completes of videos that are embedded on your blog. So again, every marketer should be learning Tag Manager. I think it's a very useful and probably even more necessary analytics tool in your toolbox.
Bringing you ever so much closer to the holy grail of understanding really all the information you need about conversions.
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
What did it do? Okay. What did it sell? What did we get from it? This sounds like the perfect way to find that out.
Absolutely.
So there's an Indiegogo campaign for something called, I don't know if I'll pronounce this correctly, Orbii, and it's a mobile security robot. It sends stabilized video. It can be controlled through your smartphone. It has an optional speaker add-on. They raised $40,000 on their $35,000 goal, and it claims that it has automatic sound and motion detection. So this is something that obviously you could use to monitor your home or whatever when you're away, and it sounds like something that we're actually going to see.
Very cool. Very cool. I mentioned Tynker in the Apple coding camp story, so I might as well explain Tynker and Shiny New Stuff too. It's tynker.com. It's a creative computing platform for kids to learn to program and build games and apps and more. They offer self-paced online courses for kids to learn how to code at home, as well as engaging programming curricula for schools. And one of the primary draws for kids that draw them into learning how to code is to create Minecraft mods, because kids are all over Minecraft.
Are they ever? Yeah. Well, I'm trying to remember the name of the guy, and I'm pretty sure it was Oracle. But when I was at the 3D printing show last year, there was somebody there, and I'm practically sure it was Oracle. I will look this up. And he was teaching kids how to create robots and then 3D print them. So yeah, it really was cool. It was a contest, where you could win. So I think that brings us to projects, right?
It does indeed. You've got one?
I have a new one. I just published a new video interview for a client, Daniel Antonelli, an attorney at Antonelli and Antonelli law firm in New York, and it's called "I'm in a Will: How Long Till I Get My Money." It's a 2-minute interview, and the answer to that is, don't get too excited about getting your money anytime soon when you hear you're in a will, because it's complicated and every will is different. But he's a very interesting speaker because he's very clear. And so, you might want to take a look at that.
Very cool. I suppose the first thing you need to do is wait for the person to die, right?
Yeah, for sure. We're talking about after they die.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So my project, I did a blog post for my agency blog on 37 Google Analytics resources, and tying in with the Google Tag Manager thing. I got a huge post on a bunch of resources for Google Analytics. It includes Google Analytics 101 tutorial video, Google Analytics Academy video course, 16 web analytics blogs and their accompanying Twitter accounts, 9 web analytics YouTube channels you can follow, and 12 analytics tools you can use. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes, but it's a pretty good resource.
Oh, I need that. And that's as geeky as hell. I love that.
Yeah. So daily numbers. Let's wrap this up. Likely voters who use video to learn about candidates or issues by generation. This is from a Google Ipsos Connect study. 59% of millennials are likely to use video to learn about candidates or issues. 28% of Gen Xers will, and 13% of boomers will. So that kind of shows you where the television advertising versus the online advertising needs to go, right? So Trump, in order to reach his base, is going to have to spend a lot more on TV advertising as opposed to online video advertising, whereas Hillary Clinton, in order to attract millennials, who she's had tough doing, will have to probably spend a lot of money on online video, which is less expensive for her to reach those people and more targeted. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about ad spend numbers when you hear them in the media.
Oh, how I wish we lived in Canada where there is no political advertising. Oh, how I wish that could be possible, because this is going to get so nasty. It's going to be awful. Anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 148 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And links to everything we talked about will be on our blog, the beyondsocialmediashow.com /148. And you can find David Erickson on Twitter. He's at D Erickson. He blogs at eStrategyBlog.com and CreativePR.com/blog, his agency blog. And you really want to keep up with both of those because he posts a huge amount of terrific content on a regular basis. I'm BL Lockman. I'm at What's Next on Twitter. I tweet at What's Next blog. I'm on YouTube. I have Paw Fun, the pet blog, and I run Maximum-Plus, which is about all things live streaming. And the show, you'll find us on the web at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com. On Twitter, we're at BS Media Show. And you can subscribe to our newsletter at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/newsletter. And we will be back next week, same time, same station. And we thank you for watching tonight.
Thanks for watching.